This episode is brought to you by Google Health. Stop chasing someone else's definition of health. What matters is what's healthy for you. Google Health offers a new kind of coach built with Gemini for effortless tracking, sleep insights, and holistic coaching tailored to you. Visit googlestore.com to learn more and start a new relationship with your health. Requires Google account, Google Health app, internet, and Google Health premium subscription. Features subject to change. Availability and results vary. Not intended for medical purposes. Works independently of Gemini apps. Check responses for accuracy.
So good, so good, so good.
New markdowns up to 70% off are at Nordstrom Rack stores now. Stock up and save big on shoes, tops, dresses, accessories, and more must-haves for summer. Join the Nordy Club to unlock exclusive discounts, shop new arrivals first, and more. Plus, buy online and pick up at your favorite Rack store for free. Great brands, great prices. That's why you Rack.
Good sleep is everything. That's why Ollie's Science Bag Support is made with a blend of melatonin and L-theanine for both kiddos and grown-ups. So when your mind won't switch off, you've got something that can help. Your racing thoughts and restless nights won't stand a chance. Find Ollie sleep solutions for the whole family at ollie.com. That's OLLY.com.
So I want to give you some support, some resources. I want to let you know you're not alone in going through back pain. And I really, really want to give you some hope because there tends to be a lot of fear around back pain specifically. And I am here to tell you, you can get through it. You can exercise. You can be strong. You can live your life functionally and even more than functionally, optimally with a low back injury. I'm Jessica Valant. I'm a physical therapist, women's health expert, and Pilates teacher, and my goal is to help all women feel strong, safe, and secure in their bodies. In this podcast, I'll share expert advice, facts, amazing guests, stories, compassion, and hope to help you meet your body in all seasons of life. Hi, and welcome back to Meet Your Body. We are talking about back injuries today. Last week, I came on and told you that I had kind of put aside the topic that I wanted to talk about last week because I had another really important topic come in, direct questions from Unlimited members. So it was really important that we address that. This week, the same thing has happened, except instead of a question coming from Unlimited members, I am personally experiencing the situation that we're talking about today, which is back pain and back injuries. And I realized that we don't have a specific podcast episode addressing this. And it's such a big topic that affects so many of you listening, and it's affecting me very much right now. So we are talking about back injuries, and I'm also releasing this week a YouTube video showing you the exact 10 to 15 minute routine that I am using and doing right now to help as a part of my own rehabilitation for back pain. So that will be up also by the time this podcast goes live. That YouTube video will be there, and I'll have the link for that below. So today we're talking about back pain and back injuries. And this is going to be a very general, high level episode about back pain and back injuries as a whole. I am not breaking it down into all the specific back injuries that we could discuss. I mean, each one could have their own episode, and that may be something for the future. So just keep that in mind. But this will apply to just about everyone going through back pain or back injury. And we are talking lower back here. Now, many of the things I discuss actually will apply to mid back, to neck injuries, but those have their own nuance as well. So keep that in mind. This is really specific to the lumbar spine, which is your lower back. So I want to give you some support, some resources. I want to let you know you're not alone in going through back pain. And I really, really want to give you some hope because there tends to be a lot of fear around back pain specifically. And I am here to tell you, you can get through it. You can exercise. You can be strong. You can live your life functionally and even more than functionally, optimally with a low back injury. So let's get into we're going to discuss again, high level specific injuries that may or may not happen with your back, what that means, what it looks like, the phases, so acute versus chronic. And we're going to get into then steps that you want to take moving forward. So one thing that I think is really important to address off the bat is to remember low back pain is no different, like physiologically, it's no different than pain in another part of your body. And what I mean by that is think of it like a small ankle. And I know that sounds really funny, but this is something that helped me tremendously. Actually, as a new physical therapist, a mentor said that to me, and it really helps because we think of the spine itself and the low back specifically as a really, really complicated structure, which yes, it is. The entire body is. I mean, the body's miraculous. Yes, it can be extremely complicated. Absolutely. Also, if we let ourselves go to that place with the low back, thinking, oh my gosh, I have a back injury. I'm really scared. I don't know what it means. The back means so much. We have nerves coming out of it. We have so many things. If we go to that place, then we take away our problem-solving ability to actually rehab and heal and get better. So it helps me to remember, oh yeah, if I strain my low back, it really is going to hold the same principles as if I strained my shoulder or if I strained my ankle. Like the inflammatory process is going to be the same. Are the structures different? Yes. Every part of the body has different structures, so the structures will be a little different. But when it comes to the actual inflammatory process, how I look at it as an acute injury, what I want to do to help treat it as an acute injury, many of those things will be the same. So hopefully that helps a little bit, let you step away from the fear that might be coming from a back injury specifically, to remember, you know what? This is another part of my body. It's just one of many parts of my body. Again, the inflammatory process will be the same. My problem-solving skills can be the same. Your empowerment can actually be the same once you're educated and once you learn the steps you can take to help. So start with that. Let's set ourselves aside. We're going to step out of the fear place, right? Which is very common in low backs because you've probably heard stories or you've had neighbors or surgery really scares you. The idea, again, that there's nerves there. We're going to step out of that place because the likelihood that you need back surgery is very, 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 very low. Most people actually do not. All right. So again, step out of that place, because by doing that and stepping to the side and saying, I'm here to look at this from an objective place, I want to get better, I want to feel empowered in this. Once you get to that place, that's when real forward movement can happen. That it really can't happen if you stay in a place of fear. So that's why I say, if it helps you like it did me, think of your back like a small ankle, okay? Or like any other joint in your body, that we can address it, we can figure out what's going on, and we can move forward. All right, so let's talk through really basic anatomy and various conditions that can happen in the low back. So you have 5 lumbar vertebrae, L1, L2, L3, L4, L5. And then L5 sits on top of your sacrum, which we will call S1. That is what we call it in our physical therapy speak. And you have discs in between each one of those vertebrae. And think of discs almost like a water balloon, but a water balloon that's shaped like a whoopee cushion. All right. So it is kind of flat and round and fluid filled. And that is between each disc, and it acts as a shock absorber as well as various other things. So that's what a disc is. Discs are not anything to be afraid of. We need them, and they're actually pretty darn resilient. Okay. They are not fragile structures. They're pretty darn resilient. Then you have facet joints. So on each vertebrae, you have these little bones that go out to the side, and they meet each other. So L1, the vertebrae above, those facet joints will meet facet joints of L2 below and form a joint. And then you have what's called foramen, little holes on either side, and that's where the nerves come out. Those are your general structures. All right. So injuries that can happen, if you think of it that way, again, let's go back to our ankle example. So we have bones. just like you do in the low back. You have vertebrae in the low back. Those are your bones. You have joints. It's where bones meet. In your low back, you have discs. But in other joints, you will have bursa, you'll have cartilage, you have the meniscus in the knee. So all of those are like a similar shock absorbing structure. Okay. And that's how we translate it to the low back. Not to mention, I didn't even mention one of the most important parts. Yes, you have muscles, many, many muscles that connect in the low back onto the joints specifically, tendons, ligaments. So injuries that can happen, just like anywhere else in the body. You can get a muscle strain or a muscle sprain. You can also strain a facet joint, so the facet joint itself. You can have a disc injury. Stay with me here. Don't let fear take over. And notice I said disc injury because there are many different facets to that as well. It is not always a herniation in any way, shape, or form. It's not always a bulge. It can take on many different pieces. So that's why I like to say disc injury. Have you injured or irritated the disc? Those are 3 common ones that would happen in an acute phase, meaning you have a sudden injury, you feel pain, it happened from lifting or twisting or something like that, or playing a sport, hiking, pulling wet laundry out of the washer. Like those are common things. So many times it would be one of those. Again, it could be many other things as well, but those are 3 main categories. Then you have conditions that tend to be more chronic, and I'm going to get into kind of what this means. Chronic, or what I call long-term, meaning things that you're going to need to look at long-term. So something like a spondylolisthesis, spondylosis, arthritis, stenosis, those kind of things. And again, this isn't the podcast. I'm getting into what each of those are necessarily, but just keep in mind, those are all things that can happen in the low back. And as I said, some would be considered a little more acute. Some might be considered more long-term. Keeping in mind, we're going to get into the difference between those, and you can fluctuate between them. So if you have been diagnosed with spondylolisthesis, which is something we're not going to cure in physical therapy, it's something we can't completely correct and cure in that way, but you will learn to manage it and be completely fine. But like any other condition that you're managing, if you do have an injury, if you lift something you shouldn't, anything like that, and you strain it, then you can fall into that acute phase for 1 or 2 weeks again. So anyone can kind of go in and out of that depending if a specific injury is happening. But we don't consider a spondylolisthesis acute necessarily. It's something that you have been diagnosed with that you're going to manage the rest of your life, and you could go into the acute phase if you happen to injure yourself. So let's discuss that next. Acute versus chronic. And this too is going to apply to every body part that you have. It's just going to look different in how it presents depending on that body part. So acute injury, the acute phase of healing, it happens immediately after an injury or a re-injury. And those would look very similarly, okay? An injury or a re-injury of something in your low back. It happens immediately after. Typically, there's a specific event that would lead to it. Not always, but typically there is. Let me tell you what happened to me. I was gardening because it's early summer. We have determined we want to put some plants in the back. It is what we're doing, right? That we all go through it. So gardening, and I was filling these large pots with dirt and flowers. I did it last year, so I was doing it again because I'm like that. I did it last year. I want to own this, and I'm going to do it again. These large, very large planters. So I went out to do the first one, and instead of shoveling the dirt out of the planter a little bit at a time, I just said to myself, I can just lift this planter up and dump the dirt into the yard, and it would be much faster. And again, thinking in my head, I did this last year. I know they're heavy. I was prepared. I remember last year they were heavy. But I'm like, I'll do it again. And I did it. And in the middle of doing it, I felt a pull in my low back. And I fit into this category of having some kind of back injury or pain, not knowing what it is. I've been dealing with it for 1.5 years now since my last surgery. I do my rehab for it. I've done my best, but I haven't seen anyone for it. And it it's been there. So I knew I had what I would call probably a weak back, but I don't know what the injury was. So I was doing this move, my back pulled, and I knew within a couple hours I had done something bad to it. And it's been a week now. And so that was an acute injury, and I'm still in the acute phase of it. And I know specifically the motion that caused it. But again, you may or may not know what causes it. So acute phase is characterized by inflammation. You might have pain, tightness, swelling, sometimes bruising. Again, if we go back to that ankle sprain example, you'll definitely have swelling, bruising right away. The low back, you typically are not going to bruise, and you won't necessarily see swelling. This is really important to understand. When there is inflammation, there is swelling, like guaranteed, but you won't always see it depending on the joint and the structure. So in the low back, sometimes as a professional, like I'll be able to look at someone's lumbar spine and say, oh yeah, I see a pocket of swelling over on the right versus the left, but it is not always there. So just keep that in mind. Don't say, oh, I don't have any swelling just because you can't see it. It very well might be at the structure of the joint itself. The joint itself is irritated and swollen. So those are the things that characterize acute. Typically, it will come on within a few hours after the injury. It will get worse and typically will peak around day 3. And then we like to see it start to improve after that, but it can take up to 2 weeks really to get out of that acute phase. And hear me say, I'm not saying 2 weeks to heal and you're good to go. Like occasionally, I'm saying 2 weeks out of that acute phase. Many times you will still need to then work though on your healing and on your strength to make sure that it doesn't come back in the future. But that's an acute phase. Chronic happens slowly and over a longer period of time. Now, if you look up chronic injuries online, they use words such as overuse and repetitive. That can be a piece of it, but that is not the only thing that makes up a chronic injury. So in my experience, it's much more nuanced than that. And what happens with chronic is your pain patterns start to change, meaning how you register pain. Like you actually many times you are healed once you're in a chronic phase, meaning the structures themselves have healed, but your pain patterns have changed. So you still anticipate pain from something. So you might feel it even though there's no like pain actually happening. There's nothing causing true pain. So that's an interesting part that can happen with chronic. Sometimes chronic will change your movement patterns, right? You start to compensate. And so chronic is that idea that something that was acute suddenly is affecting your life long term. Like that's how I see chronic, is it continues to affect your life, your function, your strength, your daily movements long term, even though you're out of that acute inflammatory phase. So our goals in acute are to decrease pain, decrease inflammation, support the injury, and let healing happen. That is what we want during acute. In chronic, our goals are more about changing your movement patterns, like making sure if you're compensating, we're taking you out of that we're giving you safe movement. We're reintroducing the idea of safe movement to your body, convincing it that it can move safely. We're looking at your pain response and your pain patterns. Do we need to work on that a little bit? Your range of motion, nervous system regulation is actually a really big one. Like if you've become really nervous or scared about moving, we need to work on nervous system patterning, nervous system regulation, and teaching safe movement. So our goals are a little bit different, but they work in congruence. And again, this is about the whole body, right? Like not just your back. That is how it works. All right, so we are going to get into how an injury might happen or what it might look like in the back, and then ways that you can support yourself with a back injury. And first, a quick word from our sponsors who help make this show possible. Did you know that we have a 4-week back strength program in my Unlimited Fitness app? Unlimited is here to help support you in all stages of life, whether that means progressive overload and moving into balance and posture and strength, or supporting your back during an injury, like I am right this moment. I am so thankful to have home workouts that I know are safe and will help me get back to the activities I love to do. So in Unlimited, we not only have daily workouts, but we have curated workout plans for your needs, which include things like hypermobility, prolapse, pelvic floor, and back strength. You can join Unlimited and get immediate access to the home workouts to help support you in all seasons of life. The link to sign up and get your free 3-day trial is below.
So you're saying with Hilton Honors, I can use points for a free night stay anywhere?
Anywhere.
What about fancy places like the Canopy in Paris?
Yeah, Hilton Honors, baby.
Or relaxing sanctuaries like the Conrad in Tulum?
Hilton Honors, baby.
Ooh, what about the 5-star Waldorf Astoria in the Maldives?
Are you gonna do this for all 9,000 properties?
When you want points that can take you anywhere, anytime, it matters where you stay. Hilton, for the stay.
And now back to our show. All right, so let's talk about like real world examples of typically what we see with back pain. Because again, like I mentioned before, with the online definition of chronic injuries, yes, that sounds great in black and white. It's just not typically what it really looks like in real life. And it's the same with injuries and how they occur. I think many times with the low back, we think, oh my gosh, okay, I'm going to be shoveling snow. We give that example a lot because it is a common one. So I'm going to be shoveling snow and I'm going to stand up and I'm going to hear and feel a pop and I'm going to drop the shovel and grab my back and say, oh, I can't stand up. Yes, sometimes. All right. And that would be a textbook example of someone injuring their disc. But many times it looks like sitting in a car on a road trip for 8 hours, getting out, going right to bed, and then not being able to get out of bed the next morning because you are so tight in your low back. Or as I said, that example of housework, pulling really heavy wet sheets out of the washer and trying to get them in the dryer, doing the fitted sheet. That's a common one. And you think, I've done this 100 times before. This is no different. Why did it suddenly bother my low back? And so we get into a place of, well, I don't think I did anything, but now I can't move. And I guess I just can't exercise anymore. I guess I'm just weak. Like we get into this defeated place with back injuries. And that is not where I want you to be. So I want you to understand back injuries can look like all of those things. And many times it's because there was some kind of issue earlier that maybe you didn't even know about. Maybe you had an injury 20 years ago. Maybe you gave birth and you had kind of a complicated or traumatic birth and you had pelvic floor issues. Maybe you had a hip injury at one point. Maybe you had a C-section or a hysterectomy and you had those abdominal muscles cut. Anything in the past that compromised the structure, the support structure around your low back can set you up for a possible sprain or strain later on, just like in any other part of your body. And it just happens that it could be anything like that, any one of those things that feel completely random to you, but really was more that last drop before that bucket overflowed and your body just said, that's it. I can't support your back anymore. I need help. And so think of it more that way. Again, it is not any kind of way to say, oh, you're too weak. You shouldn't be doing this activity. You did something wrong. It is your body's way of saying, hey, you know what? I didn't have the support around that structure that I needed. And so you either did a movement that kind of confused me, or it was a movement you've done 100 times, but I just couldn't support it anymore. And so an injury is your body's way of saying, hey, hi, pay attention to me now, please. I need some help. I need a little support. All right. So that is what an injury will do. Also keeping in mind, this is just kind of an important thing to remember. Sometimes an acute injury can be a re-injury of something prior. So when I hurt my back last week, I am at this point now trying to diagnose myself. I'm pretty sure it's a disc injury. Like I would say 99% sure it's a disc injury. And again, hear me saying, I am not diagnosing that. I don't know if it's a bulge, grade 1, grade 2. I am calling it a disc injury. And it is possible that I've had a disc injury in the past that scarred over and like did its job of healing itself, and that I tore some scar tissue. So that's possible as well. So all of those things can happen. Nothing to cause severe fear, just enough for you to realize, oh yeah, this is either something I've dealt with before, maybe it's something brand new. So here are some steps to take if that happens. So if you're in the acute phase, like in those first 1 to 2 weeks, or even let's just say 3 to 5 days, your job is to decrease inflammation and support the healing process. So for decreased inflammation, I'll just tell you what I did. All right, this is just me personally. I am a big believer in ice, and I know not everyone is necessarily. I am all about ice. I always have been. It feels good. It works for me. I think it's old school and something that is tried and true. I ice for 10 minutes at a time throughout the day. Like immediately I put ice on my low back, and I am still doing it throughout the day. Typically, ice up to a week or so. And it's not going to do a lot of great effect after that, especially for chronic things. But anytime there's an acute for myself, I am regularly going to ice. I also personally use turmeric with curcumin as a supplement because it has anti-inflammatory pieces to it. It is a proven anti-inflammatory supplement. Again, check with your doctor on that, but that is something that I do for inflammation as well. And I know people will ask about ibuprofen. So that is something I will just tell you, I have been told in the past from doctors and other physical therapists I've worked with to use ibuprofen for a few days to help with inflammation. So that's something you'll want to talk to your own doctor about. But yes, there are definitely benefits to decreasing inflammation by using ibuprofen. So you can ask your doctor about those things. The next thing is rest. So those are anti-inflammatory. And then also anti-inflammatory foods, staying really, really hydrated. Those things make a difference. Rest as needed and as able. Gentle rehabilitative movement. So this will depend on the condition and depend on what you have going on. But there are things, if you're seeing a physical therapist, that they can help with. But typically you're not seeing them during the acute phase. So this is a recommendation I have. If you have an acute phase of something and then you go in for PT for it, keep a file. This is what I do for all of my clients. I say, these are the exercises you're going to come back to in the future. If you ever go through an acute phase again, this is what I want you doing during that acute phase to help. So that's something to keep in mind maybe for the future. And then this is something else I'm just going to point out. I personally do not see a healthcare professional during that immediate acute phase, meaning a chiropractor, an acupuncturist, a massage therapist. I am in major inflammation. My body, especially with autoimmune issues, I am extra reactive. Everything's inflamed. I don't want anyone pushing around on my back, messing with the inflammation. Even my husband, I wanted a massage so badly. He's like, I'll rub it. And I let him, and I was worse for the next couple hours. It felt great when he was doing it, but I just realized afterwards, I'm like, it is too soon. It was only 3 days in, and it just inflamed my body a little bit more. So personally, and again, just in the first week, that is not my first plan of attack, is someone working on it. I want to get a little bit out of the acute phase. I'm working on decreasing inflammation, resting, healing the structures, and supporting the healing process. Sleep, eating right, drinking water. And I know when you're in that much pain, believe me, I was in that much pain. I know you're just breathing and trying to get through the day. So that too, all right? Asking for help, not being on your feet all the time. You don't have to cook dinner every night when you're in the acute phase of back pain. Let someone else do it. Order in, do what you need to give your body rest. So that's what I do in the first week or so. This is what I do for myself. If it has been 2 weeks and I am not improved, that is when I take the next steps and say, okay, I'm going to go in and see my doctor. I'm not any better. It's been 2 weeks. I should be at least a little bit improved. I'm not. What else do I do? I ask, is it time for physical therapy? Is it time for some kind of medication? Do I need a referral for something else? Like, tell me what else we can do together. What's the next steps? Personally, I am waiting 1 to 2 weeks to do that, unless there's an indication that I need to see someone sooner. And what I mean by that is, are you numb completely down your leg? Has it changed your bladder or bowel habits? Like, is it harder for you to go to the bathroom? Do you have saddle numbness? When I say saddle, I mean like your crotch, where your underwear goes. Are you numb there? Those are situations you see the doctor right away. Like you go in, no questions asked. For me, if it is pain, but none of those extenuating circumstances, I'm giving it a week, 10 days, 2 weeks to see if it gets better personally before I'm seeing a doctor. So that is just what I do for myself. I also think you need to do what's best for you and your nervous system. So if that is what's best for me and my nervous system, I feel comfortable doing that. Some people are going to feel more comfortable going in right away. And if you are that person, I want you doing that. Okay. It is really important to honor what your nervous system needs. You might be someone who needs answers right away. I am very much standing by the fact that I'm a healthcare professional. I know. So I have a little more information around what's happening with my body. Sometimes that's good. Sometimes it's probably not good. But in this situation, it does help. I don't go to that fear place as quickly because I can say, this is happening anatomically, physiologically. I know the process. So I very much recognize that about my situation. So if you are someone who has past trauma around back pain, or someone in your life had something happen that really kind of caused that fear for you, if you would feel better seeing someone within the first 2 days, go do that. All right. There's no right or wrong here. I'm just letting you know I am completely comfortable in most situations for myself waiting out the acute phase of back pain to make sure that I am getting better. And if I'm not getting better within a week or 10 days, then I will take the next steps to see someone. Or if it's getting worse, if it is getting worse, then I'm definitely going to go in. All right. Next thing, again, when you're kind of out of the acute phase, physical therapy, 100% physical therapy. Either get yourself there, have your doctor refer someone, whatever you need to do. It is not, I don't think it's something that you just wait on and get right back to your normal activities, because chances are it will come back at some time later down the line. You need to know, what do I do to support my body for exercises? What do I need to strengthen? What do I need to learn about my movement so that I can prevent this from happening again? And that's where a physical therapist comes in, either in person or online if you need to. I know I do virtual sessions with people quite a bit in these exact situations where they've said, you know what, this has happened to me before. It happened again. I'm so tired of this. What can I do? Give me a plan to help moving forward. And I will always ask that they're out of the acute phase actually before I see them, because at least virtually, I can't help with your pain in the first 2 weeks. I want to desperately, but I know I can't. So I am going to ask that you're out of the acute phase. Then I want to see you. Then come to me. Let's create a plan. I will give you homework to do every day. I will give you strengthening. I will find out where you're compensating, and we'll move forward from there. So physical therapy is huge. Next, don't let yourself be afraid of movement. That doesn't mean go do everything you want in the first couple weeks. I'm saying just make sure that you stay out of that mindset of fear of movement, because movement heals. We need to be able to move. And then the last piece I want to touch on here on what to do going forward is whether you have an MRI or an X-ray. X-ray would be the first plan, and many times doctors will order those off the bat. MRIs are a little different, and many people I know want MRIs because you want an answer. Again, I'm going to validate that. Absolutely, we all want answers. Why is this happening? What's going on? Do I have something back there that I need to know about? Couple things to know. Many times insurance won't cover an MRI anymore unless you've done PT first. So that's one thing just to keep in mind. Sometimes they will. You can ask, but don't be surprised. Second, you won't always know why back pain happened. And I know that can be hard. I have worked with so many clients who've had back pain, who go get their MRI. The MRI shows nothing. It says you're all good. And instead of being relieved that there's no actual structural damage, they're actually disappointed because they don't have an answer. That is very common. We want an answer. Why is this happening? Because if we have an answer, then it feels like we'll have a clear path forward. But that isn't always the case. So MRIs are helpful in a few different circumstances. One, if you've had pain for a long time and you've gone through all the steps, you've done everything that you think you should do. If I've seen someone for months and months and months and nothing's changed, I will say, yep, it's time. You need to know what else is going on. Will it give us more information to help your healing going forward? So that's one thing. Will it give me more information than what I have that will help in healing going forward? Second thing that it's really helpful for is if you want to know and you're ready to take the next steps in what it might show. Meaning, you've gone through all the steps, like we said, you've done the PT, you've done the things, and it's not improving. And if your MRI shows you something that needs surgical support, are you willing to have the surgery? So are you willing to do something different with the results that you find from the MRI? That's just something to keep in mind, because I think it's important to understand from a physical therapist perspective, there are many things your MRI would show that I am going to treat very similarly. Like, I'm going to strengthen your hips. I'm going to strengthen your core. I'm going to work on your thoracic mobility. I am going to work on back strength. I'm going to work on glute strength. I'm going to work on hip mobility. I'm going to do that probably no matter what injury you ultimately have, because you're going to need it and it's going to help. Yes, there are a few things that would change. If you have a spondylolisthesis, I'm going to tell you not to do extension. Other than that, there's not a lot that I need right off the bat as a PT from an MRI to change how I treat you. I more want to know what makes you feel better. What makes you feel worse? What are your goals? How is this affecting your life? Where do you feel really limited? What activities do you love to do that you feel like you can't do right now? Let's look at your hip range of motion. Let's look at your thoracic mobility. Those are the things I want to know that are going to help me and guide me. And then again, if I'm using all of that and I don't see you improving, 4 to 8 weeks, then I will say, yeah, maybe there's more information we need. And maybe an MRI is going to come into play here. So I say all that to just make sure that you go in with the right mindset, knowing, yeah, the MRI might be important. It might not. It really depends on your situation, but it usually won't be the first line of attack. It usually will come in later with additional information if you need it. And again, I'll put a footnote. If you have the things I mentioned earlier, if you have changes in bowel or bladder symptoms right away after an injury, if you have that saddle numbness, if you have complete numbness down your leg, if you have foot drop, those are going to be indicators most likely that you will have an MRI, because that's information you need for what might be causing that. All right. So that kind of gives you a general idea of what might be causing your back pain. And then more importantly, because again, I can't individually diagnose you or tell you exactly what's causing your back pain, but hopefully this episode gave you tools and hope moving forward so that you can live with the knowledge that you can help, right? That there are tools that you have. You can strengthen, you can help heal, you can seek out answers, you can see a physical therapist. And yes, it takes some work on your part. And I am doing the same thing right now. Okay. It has been a 1.5 years of me dealing with some back pain, trying to do it on my own, feeling like I was doing an okay job, not a great job because it wasn't going away, but I was very much managing it, lifting heavy, doing my stuff. Okay, this was a wake-up call for me. This was a big wake-up call saying, you know what? I haven't been managing it, I guess, as well as I thought. I contacted a physical therapist this morning, and I am going to go in and see someone and say, what am I missing? What can we do? Tell me the information I need. And yeah, it's going to take time. It's going to cost money, but it is time that I also seek out support and a team to help me move forward so that this doesn't happen again. I don't want to be put on my back again. I will probably not lift that big thing of dirt, but I want to be able to garden and run after the kids and do my trail runs again. And I have no doubt I'll be able to do that. No doubt. I just need to put my head down and really get serious about the work I need and the specific strength that I need to do it. And that's what I'm going to do. And I encourage you to do the same thing. So keep the hope. It's going to be okay. I know backs can feel a little scarier than other things, but remember, they are a part of your body. You continue to learn. We continue to put one foot in front of the other, and you can do this, and you're going to be even stronger once you get through it. I promise. All right. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks so much for listening today. I would love it if you could take a moment to subscribe, rate, and review this podcast. It means a lot to us, and it helps our content get out to more women who need it. You can find more of my resources at my website, jessicavalant.com, or find me on YouTube at Jessica Valant and Instagram at Jessica S. Valant.
This Father's Day, when you ship UPS Air at the UPS store, your items arrive on time or your money back, guaranteed at no extra cost. It's like the father of all shipping services. It shows up to the airport way too early, just to play it safe. It's overprotective about all the things that truly matter, and it's always prompt, especially to be with family. Make it your first choice to celebrate your dad. Ship UPS Air with our money-back guarantee, exclusively at the UPS Store U.S. retail locations. Visit the upsstore.com/airshipping for full details. Terms and conditions apply.
Capture your favorite summer feeling with Pandora Jewelry. Discover a collection inspired by the sunshine, freedom, and moments that make the season unforgettable. From sun-kissed metals to personalized pieces, ready to be engraved with your summer mantra. Each design moves with you, from beach days to golden nights and every memory in between. Shop Pandora Jewelry's new summer collection, in-store or online at pandora.net, and let your summer unfold.
Athletic Brewing Company crafts award-winning non-alcoholic beers for those who want to be part of every round. With over 185 flavor awards, they're exceptional NA beers that fit your lifestyle and any social occasion. Summer's full of good times, and Athletic fits right in. Go to athleticbrewing.com to have brews delivered to your door, or find them at a bar, restaurant, or store near you. Near beer. Athletic Brewing Company, fit for all times.